Did you know that one of the key reasons that the Americas were able to annex the land that we currently call the United States of America from its rightful owners, the British Crown? I'm saying all this tongue-in-cheek, by the way. But one of the reasons that we were able to prevail was because of Scotland. Yes, Scotland. There was a very key battle, the Battle of Culloden, that happened in the mid-1740s, okay? And the British forces went into the Highlands and surprised Bonnie Prince Charles and the Highlanders and decimated the Scottish army. That was really the last gasp on a military sense of Scotland maintaining its independence from the British Crown. If you're a fan of Braveheart, the movie, Mel Gibson's movie, or if you are a student of history, you would enjoy reading about William Wallace. One of our sons is named after William Wallace, the great Scottish freedom fighter. Anyway, when the Scots were defeated at the Battle of Culloden, many of the men they fled to America, okay, and settled in the Carolinas predominantly. But they had a deep and abiding hatred of the British. One of our original American leaders, and his name slips my mind, forgive me, he spent 2 years in the British Navy after the defeated Culloden, just so he could learn their tactics. Then he emigrated to America, again, with a deep and abiding hatred of the British. And so a lot of the motivation of the colonists, certainly from those who were of Scottish descent, was that we're going to fight the battle of our dads, okay? This is a payback fight for what happened in Scotland at the Battle of Culloden. Fast forward more than 250 years. The Scottish people are still clamoring for independence. Do you realize that we are on the verge right now of a vote in Scotland, a referendum, such as just happened in Crimea, to separate from the British Crown? I don't see the U.S. up in arms about that. And the British are not happy. They've said to the Scots, if you leave the empire, you may not use the British pound, our currency. I'm not sure how the British would stop them any more than certain nations around the world that are in de facto using the dollar as their currency. We're not really able to stop them if they've got the dollars in their hands or if they've got the British crown in their hands. I don't know how they'll be able to be stopped. Nevertheless, you've got that vote coming up very quickly. You've got the Quebec vote coming up very quickly. Venice, the city in Italy, the Venetian Empire existed for 1,000 years. And if my memory is correct, Napoleon deposed one of the leaders, and then after the Napoleonic Wars, Venice was basically absorbed into modern Italy. And there are people there who want Venice to be its own republic again. And there's a vote coming up. Do we scream our lungs out? Do we threaten economic sanctions against Scotland? Do we threaten economic sanctions against Quebec or against Venice? This is in part due to the fact that Western nations fear Russian expansionism, fear the attempt of Putin and other Soviet leaders to retake lands that were lost after the breakup of the Soviet Union. All right, the Baltic states, Poland. And I will grant you that there should be concern as to whether or not Russia tries to invade Ukraine. Crimea is one thing. They have their deep water port there, Sevastopol. The Black Sea Fleet is based there. There's no way that Russia is going to give up Crimea. It's not going to happen. And I would submit to you that Western nations do not possess any just war theory under which they could fight Russia for Crimea. Now, Ukraine, that's another matter. And I guarantee you right now that that is what has the Western powers more alarmed. Do they arm Poland with nuclear weapons if Ukraine falls into Soviet hands by force? I don't know. Let's take a quick look when we come back at a couple more of these details. And I'm doing this, frankly, friends, because I enjoy the study of history. And you know what? When we come back, let's look at the just war theory that comes right out of the Catholic Catechism and see if we would have grounds to launch a war against Russia over Crimea. This is the Voice of Resistance.